Oi you, it's time for another episode of Dorothy and the Dealer. Let's tune into the conversation.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Beers and business.
Yep.
What's your favourite beer?
Favorite beer.
Come
I like some of the craft. I definitely love I love a good lager.
Yeah.
Those are pretty easy to drink, but I like some of the like really craft beers that have a bit more of that tropical taste to them. I've definitely been. Yeah, I used to be just a plain beer. Keep it
Like
nice,
what? Corona?
Yeah, no, I've never
Some
been.
people
a Corona
slag
fan.
off Corona, but I love Corona.
No, I don't know what plain beer is. I'm not slagging anything off. I
Plain
don't
beer,
drink
like
beer.
Canadians drink a lot of like just wheat
Bud.
lagers.
Bud.
Wheat lagers.
Wheat.
No,
Wheat
that's
lager.
Bud is an American beer.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No, but you know what I really like is an unfiltered wheat. Do you like an unfiltered wheat?
I actually don't know what an unfiltered wheat
I've
is.
just
Well,
asked
it's a
this
wheat-
question
it's
and
a
I'm
wheat
feeling
beer.
really lost.
It's a wheat beer, but it's cloudy. When you look at it, it's cloudy,
Oh yeah.
and it has kind of that. It's very yellowy beer. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I love a good unfiltered wheat.
Same.
there you
The
go.
only problem is they're just a bit fucking heavy. I can only do 2 or 3 of them, and then I'm like, oh, this is too much.
That's what I love about beer is it tells me to stop way before my
Yeah.
balance does.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I
Yes.
tasted my first beer many, many years ago. I had a Kingfisher. You said you have to have a Kingfisher in India. I think it was
Yeah.
maybe the second trip.
Yeah.
That was the first time I tasted. I was actually drinking beer, but it doesn't last. I don't like beer.
Very good beer.
Not interested.
I actually only really started drinking when I was here.
in
What?
Australia.
In
Yeah.
MJB seminars.
No, when I was in Australia.
All right.
Back in Canada, it was just too cold. I always drank like hard liquors, and then
Oh,
I came
I
what
like-
is that?
I like
Explain that to me. Okay, you can explain this to me. So, Canadians and Americans, I know you don't like being put into the same boat, but Canadians and Americans will buy a beer and they'll have a shot with it.
I've done that, but I wouldn't say it's a common thing.
But it's like I've always saw it as a common thing. Like I've always, you know,
You do a beer and a Jaeger for sure.
in
For
a
sure.
well, in a Jaeger, like a Jaeger bomb,
Yeah, do a Jaeger bomb and then chase it with a beer. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, beer
Eesh.
chasers is a pretty common thing. But
So
it's,
what's a beer chaser?
It's just any shot and then just down a beer afterwards. It's only a way to get yourself totally fucked.
Oh,
early
is
into
it?
the night. Yeah, it's not something we're sitting there going.
Oh, it's not
looking
a-
forward to this.
It's not a standard thing.
No, it is. I arrived late. I need to catch up to my mates.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have. I've never seen it really happen in Ireland, and I've never seen it happen in Australia.
No.
But I've always wondered why the fuck did I do that? Because I look at people doing that and I think, man, if I was to do 3 of them, I'd be fucking licking the floor. I'd be absolutely smashed.
You are a bit of a lightweight. Let's face it.
I am a bit of a lightweight when it comes to that. I mean, you know.
But yeah, that's kind of the point of doing a bunch of beer chasers is to
Is
get
it?
yourself
Obliterate yourself.
Yeah, very.
It's not really
fairly
just.
quick.
Very
it's not
quickly,
something that
yeah.
you do just because you like to do it. It's something you do just to get. Yeah.
No.
There you go.
So what are we talking about?
Oh, look,
Today
apart
that
from
was
beer.
that was it. Yeah.
that was it. Beer was
Thank
our
you,
total,
everybody.
That was our total content.
Yeah.
I think
today.
I wanted to.
Well,
I had an
yeah.
experience. I had an experience when I was over in Adelaide, where the car rental company that I was.
Oh, right.
I tried calling to find out what time the car had to be back, and it took them forever. I had to do that whole you call me back. The guy calls me back, goes, yeah, get the car here for 1. And when I get, I'm like, do you guys do a shuttle to the airport? And he goes, yeah, we do. I
Yeah.
was like, all right, I'll see you at 1. So I get there, and as soon as I get there, the door to the administration building's locked. So I'm thinking, like, where do I drop this car off? I walk into their garage, and there's like two blokes there. He's like, oh, did you drop off a car? I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna have to get you an Uber though. He's like, 6 people didn't show up to work today.
Wow.
And I had 2 that were coming in for interview, and they just didn't show. And I cannot hire people at the moment.
Wow.
And yeah, I just kind of smiled because you know how he's doing it, right? He's still throwing up the ads on Seek, and nobody's responding to the ads. And that's pretty common for a lot of businesses at the moment. I'm hearing that a lot. So
A lot,
I thought
yeah.
we'd have a chat about that today.
In terms of recruitment, just
Yeah,
in
recruitment, finding
general. There's
people at the moment.
Yeah.
It's definitely challenging.
Well, because
Well,
it's difficult on so many levels, especially with people not responding, and Seek being one of those. Like Seek, even as an employer ourselves, we wouldn't go to Seek anymore.
No.
We're like, I wouldn't go there because, and I think it had its purpose, but at the moment you're looking for people that I don't know how to put it without putting it in a way that's bad. But you're looking for people that are skilled, and you're looking for people that are.
I think that's the mistake people make, right? Is when they struggle to find people off Seek, they start to lower their standard, and that's when you're going to get yourself into trouble. Because now the great staff you currently have, you might start scaring them off because of the staff you're bringing in.
Yeah.
So if we're going to talk about recruitment, I think we need to talk about it in a generic fashion that's not related to the current times, right? Because then we can bring it back and say, this is what you would generally do, and then now what do you need to focus on? What do you do? And is it the same or is it different, etc.? What do you reckon?
It's going to be definitely the same, but the way in which you execute it is definitely going to be different.
So what would you normally think about if you're talking about recruitment? Let's say we're not in the times that we're in now, but in life's ticking along as normal. What do you have to consider in terms of recruitment?
Okay, so the first thing you have to think about before you recruit is, do I actually need to hire somebody? Is there a better way to do this? Am I going to need this skill set long term? Who is it that I'm looking to hire right now, and do I really need that? Also, like, what type of person am I looking for here? You want to define that before you hire. Too many businesses simply lose an employee and go, I need another one of them.
Right.
Without actually re-looking and going, right, do we? Is there other ways in which to get this outcome than hiring a person?
Are you talking about either hiring a different type of person or a different type of role, or are you talking there about maybe not needing to actually hire for that but outsourcing for that? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about both.
Right.
Yeah, so you want to be looking and going, do I need to hire this person? If I do need to hire a person, is it the same type of role that I need to hire, or should I be looking at a different type of role considering where the business is at the moment? And also, do I need to have this person here full time? Can I, go VA? Can I outsource it? Can I get a contractor? Can I hire a company to fulfill this role for me temporarily?
What are the determining factors, do you think?
How long you need it, how essential it is to the business. A lot of the cases, if I'm bringing in kind of a new role and I'm developing that role, I might bring in, on a contract basis, I might bring in somebody that's way more skilled to get it developed, get it into a system, and then hire somebody that's less skilled to actually maintain it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing I think as well is, businesses also have to be attractive to prospects to want to come and work in.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? They have to. Their vision has to be clear. It has to be congruent with the person. But also, I was talking to a buddy of mine the other day he's just hired 2 more people, and the way in which he was able to, he has a filtering system, but he also makes it very attractive. He gives them they're allowed to have 1 day off. I think 1 day off every 6 months to go and work for a charity of their choice, which is just a great idea. They're allowed to, and this was something that we were looking at introducing here, was a certain amount of hours per week to work on just their own idea. This is an idea that you have. It's got to be aligned with the business, but it's an idea that you have. It's just your own idea. So just little things like that just make it really enticing, so that the client, you're not just reading out a vision. You're saying, no, we do want to contribute. And if you have somewhere that you personally are aligned with, that you want to contribute, we're going to show you, because we're going to give you time to actually go and do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, look, on that note, there were studies that were done as to what keeps employees around, like what goes, and what beat everything hands down was purpose.
Yeah.
The more purpose I feel my role has, so the more I feel like I'm contributing in some way, the more likely it is I am to be happy and to stay in that workplace long term.
Right.
So one of the best things you can do in a business is actually develop your mission and your vision, and to communicate that with all employees.
Yeah.
And show them how their individual role actually
assists that.
That's more important than money. That's more important than extra outings and all these other things.
Yeah.
In terms of your second point, where you said having time to work on things, Alan Peters in his book In Search of Excellence actually spoke about this back in the 80s, and this part of why 3M was such a big business is they actually encourage people to do that. And I know Google now encourages people to do that as well, giving them space to work on their own projects.
What's the book again?
In search of excellence.
In search of excellence, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So then what else? So in terms of thinking about recruitment, you said, do I need to hire? What type of person do I need to hire?
Yep.
Is that all do you reckon that's all a fairly standard thing that you could get by actually just being honest with yourself in terms of your business?
Absolutely. That's just, there's things you can do, and there's people that can show you actual processes to that, but just being honest with yourself is going to help.
Yeah.
And then if you do decide that you need to hire somebody, then there's three things. You want to know so I call it can do, will do, right culture fit. So can this person do the job? Meaning, are they skilled? Now, in light of not being skilled, what you can do is say, hey, how quickly can I get them skilled, and do I have the resources in which to train them? Mm-hmm. This is one of those things, slight areas. So that's the general rule, but that's one of the areas where I would probably say a focus is slightly changed in the current market.
Yeah.
The next one is, will they do the job? So what you're looking for is the alignment to that person's nature. So if I was to say, hey, I've got a really sales strong company, I need them to engage, reach out into the market, book appointments. Mm-hmm. Is the person who's an introvert capable of selling? Yeah, they're capable. But will they do it long term? Probably not. Yeah. Right? So the second question you want to ask yourself is, will they do it? Is it in their nature to do this job?
To do the actual job that's required of
and so
them,
it's a combination of their nature and their long-term goals. What is it this person ultimately wants to do? Yeah. For instance, Mitch, I would imagine you attract a lot of people that want to be coaches. Yeah. And so they come in saying, hey, I want to do this job, but ultimately they want to be a coach. So they're constantly looking to get out of their current work to go coach. Yeah. So you want to be looking at that. And the last one is, do I have the right culture fit? Yeah. So the classic one was I did some work with Schweppes when I was in recruitment. And one of the things is, because they were a manufacturing facility that had food in the product line, you couldn't just finish the day and go, right, we'll pick it up tomorrow, because the food would rot. So one of the things is, everybody had a culture of going, look, whatever it takes, let's just stay and get it done. And if we have to start later tomorrow, we'll start later. And so that was the culture within the business. Let's just get it done. Yeah. If you put anybody into that was like, nah, I'm a checkout person, you're gone. They were never going to fit. Yeah. And if I brought too many of those types of people into my culture, the people that established that culture that worked for me, they started to leave. Yeah. And so the last one is it a good culture fit? Now, during good times, we tend to focus more on the last two, right? We tend to go, hey, do they fit in with our culture? And we work in reverse. But during times like this, it actually has to go in the sequence of, hey, look, are they capable of doing the job? You're not going to be in a market where you're going to have the luxury of training people right now, and there's going to be a bit of a churn and burn. So I'd be intentionally looking for people who are already skilled, trained, and you're not going to find those on Seek.
There was I had a client speak to me today, and she just lost 2 people over the weekend. 2 employees had just left. And there's a couple of things go on with that happens, which is you go into kind of shock, because you think, oh my fucking God, I did so much for those people. And then you're like, oh, well, where's the fucking loyalty, And then you think, oh, they were calculating in how they did that, That's very normal, primitive stuff. But it's the old thing of, if you can't, you got to, it's all conservation of energy. If you've lost someone over here, it's because the better one is about to come. But if you're caught up emotionally on the loss, then you'll never find a better one. So what you got to do is you got to adapt quickly to the better employee. What does the better employee look like? And then ask yourself, I said to her, ask yourself, could you tell me 5 people within your industry that have that skill that you would love, that work for someone else, that you would love to come work for you? Yeah. Just rather, and then, so now you're not having to go, because I said, well, how do you feel about recruitment? And she's like, oh, I just feel we overpay for them, especially in terms of what I'm looking for with my industry, which I can kind of fucking agree with. I think sometimes you can overpay in recruitment for people. But if there's absolutely no harm in going, okay, I want to approach this person who I've known in the industry for a long time, who I've heard of, or who people have spoken about, and I want to share my vision with them, have a coffee with them. It's going to cost you a lot less, and say, look, we would love to have you on board. There's absolutely nothing. But what that does is, people just don't want to do that stretch, because people, and that can generally be be because people are not connected with their vision enough. They're not. If you're really inspired and connected with your vision, you'll fucking sail any sea, climb any. You'll wear a chicken motherfucking suit if that's what it's going to take to be able to get the person that you really, this is the person that's going to get this organization to where we need to get to.
I agree, and I think part of what it is we as a people don't like rejection.
Yeah,
we don't like it. And so what we try to do is we try to do recruitment in a way where we're constantly protected from the rejection of it.
Yeah.
You've applied to me. You want to come in for the interview, and it's me selecting not.
Yeah.
But the proper way to really look at recruitment is just what you said, is to go intentionally look for those talented people and set up a chat with them. Find out, where they aren't feeling appreciated, what else they can do. This is really not a rejection conversation, but are you happy where you are? Because I think you're quite skilled. I think you could fit in quite well in my team. And, I would like to have that conversation with you.
Yeah.
The other thing I would suggest is everybody's got to come to terms with the fact that, you're not married to your employees.
Yeah.
They're going to leave. What you want, so you're going to have a certain amount of churn and burn that's going to happen throughout the lifetime of your business. What you want to do is maintain the people that are going to move up with you. But I remember one of my clients, I was doing, it was a meat pie business. And they came up and they
meat pies.
They manufacture meat pies, and they said to me, I said, look, what's one of the goals you have in terms of our recruitment relationship? And they're like, people must never leave us. I went, how many director roles do you have? And she was like, just me. I'm like, how many other promotions do you have? And she was like, no, we don't have endless promotions. I'm like, so you've got the one person who's just doing the one job and they never grow with the business, and you just pay them more and more and more to do the exact same job? She's like, oh yeah, when you put it that way, that kind of sucks. I'm like, you want turnover. You just want the turnover of the right employees.
Yeah.
Right? When you start trying to hold on to everybody, what you end up with is the turnover of the wrong employees.
Yeah.
And that's when it starts to get emotional, because you have this drought that sucks all the good employees out of your business.
Yeah, yeah.
So you've got to be okay with that, the coming and the going. You need to be all right with that.
You got to expect it. Yeah.
But so if it's the can do, will do, and culture, you're saying that in normal times, it doesn't really matter what order you put those in. They need to fit into that somewhere.
Yeah.
Because the can-dos don't have to be can-dos right now, but they will be able to be teachable and learn how to do them, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're saying that in times like now, we don't really have the luxury of doing that. You need to have people that are pretty more trained, and we're needing to focus on that first. Is what you're saying?
You also have an opportunity to grab talent. So you have to actually go seek it out. So during good times, right, if I was slightly unhappy in my current role, I'd probably have no problem throwing my resume up onto Seek, applying for the odd job just to see what's out there.
Yeah.
But during a time where I'm worried about inflation rates and possibly losing my job, I'm not going to be on Seek. I'm not going to be passive at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I might still be unhappy, by the way. I might still feel unappreciated, but I'm not necessarily going to be visible in the old ways. So you want to identify these people, and you want to appreciate them. And when people start to feel appreciated, if you can then give them a vision that they can, remember, a vision, a purpose is the most powerful thing I have in terms of holding and getting people into my business, is give them a strong purpose.
Right.
If you know what that is and you can quite quickly articulate it with another person, you will start to grab some of those superstars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so what you've got to do is hone into superstars, because they're everywhere, but they're unappreciated. It's the old adage, and I think anybody that's running a company has been this employee at the past, right? Where you're the good employee, the one that kind of works harder than everybody else. And what are you rewarded with typically in a business? More work.
Yeah.
Not more recognition, just more work. People are like, oh, give it to that person because they'll get it done.
Yeah.
Right. And so you start to feel unappreciated in that situation. You're working harder. You're getting paid the same as everybody else that's doing a third as much. But it's in your nature to keep competing like that. So when somebody else recognizes that about you, you appreciate that. That's one of the tricks that I started to learn, is find little techniques for identifying these people.
What do you think is happening then now that so many places are short of people? What do you think is is the cause of that?
Well, I think what happens during good times is they call it the Peter principle, where you get promoted to the point of your ineptitude or however they say it.
Yeah.
And so I think what's happened was during the good times, a lot of people were being promoted up into positions that were actually higher than they were skilled at.
Right.
And then what's happening now is they're all sitting at home going, well, I won't work in this other position. I only want to get paid X.
Yeah.
And so it's
Right,
creating
yeah,
a
yeah.
bit of a gap. The other thing is the baby boomers are flooding out of the marketplace faster than the Gen Xers can. Gen Xers and Gen Yers and the millennials can filter into it. So you're getting a
Right.
generational gap as well.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
because
go.
there's a lot of it. I mean, one of the common complaints are I can't get people to come to work.
Everywhere I've been lately,
can't
it's
get
like
people to work.
be mind. I just walked in somewhere the other day about where did I go? I went somewhere for breakfast. Service might be slow because we're short of staff. So I looked at her and I said, "How slow is service going to be? Like, am I going to be waiting 3 hours for my brekkie?" And she said, "No, I just need to have that there for busy times." She said, "Because we just don't have enough people."
Yeah.
And everywhere you go, there's signs outside the door.
Everywhere.
The whole world is short staffed. Please be kind to the people who showed up. Things
Yeah.
like that. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
The
I'm like,
person I
"Fuck."
get my coffee from every morning, she told me she had a person come in. They often do the trial, the couple-day trial.
Yeah.
Where it's like a free trial. But what she did was she was like, if you stay on and we hire you, we'll actually pay you for that time.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so this person came and said, well, how many shifts would I have to do so that you paid me for it? She's like, just never mind then.
No,
Yeah.
you're not the right person for the job.
She's like,
It's insane, really, isn't it? It's kind of, it's bizarre walking out there and feeling like that everybody is
But-
having. We were talking to someone in Melbourne who we went to their cafe, and he's been running this cafe for years, and he's and it was his mum actually we were talking to, and she was saying people will literally you're just getting so many people not showing up on a day-to-day basis. You know?
Or the complaint, I only want to work this amount of hours because if I work anymore, I won't get my social welfare.
Yeah.
yeah.
Fuck, so I'm only going to do 2 days because I won't get my I mean, it's such a travesty, you know. Like it's like how, you know. I mean, but at the same time, you know, the precursor to transformation is fucking chaos, and that's how it. There's
just how
no
it
way
is.
around it. But I like driving through Hazelmere when I'm heading up the hills. You know, they've billboards at the front of the company saying hiring this, hiring that. You know, I remember seeing that every now and then. But now it's like, and it might be we're hiring, you know, but now it's like we're looking for this, we're looking for that, we're looking for this, we're looking for that. We were with a client in Melbourne, and he's like, man, I'm literally, while he was with us, he said, sorry, down south in South West, he's from Melbourne. He said, I've just rang my wife and told her to book tickets for us to fly to Ireland to go to a recruitment agency. They're going to organise a meet, and we will bring in 150 people and tell them, look, we will sponsor you in Australia to come out and work for us because they can't get any workers.
I'm gonna
skilled.
do a bit of a curveball here, right? I think there's 2% of the marketplace doesn't want to work, and you know we will all find those examples of people that just don't want to work, and we'll kind of blame them during times like this. But the majority of the marketplace wants to work, but they haven't actually reinvented themselves, and so they're sitting waiting for a job to come back that's not coming back. And they're the
Do you
ones
think
not
so,
doing.
though?
Yeah, absolutely. Businesses are going to have to transform over this next period, but so are the workers. And when you look at people that are superstars at work, and you look at their resumes, they've reinvented themselves over and over and over again.
Yep.
And you know, it's the people that kind of get stuck in a niche that are waiting for that niche to come back, and they're like, "Oh, I can't go work that job because it's a step down or it's a step back." You know. It's like if you're not working right now and you want to be working, you've got to reinvent yourself because waiting for that job to come back is actually hurting the entire economy.
Yeah. Because I have had one or two people say to me, "Oh, I can't get any work," and I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah, there's so much around.
What do you mean you can't get any work? What are you talking about?
I was in Margaret River, like we were in there not long ago, and when we were there, I had to go to the bank, and I rocked up at 1:05, and it was closed. I'm poking around, looking in, whatever, and
The bank was closed.
The bank was closed at 1:00, and eventually somebody saw me loitering around outside thinking, fuck, I've got to come back tomorrow. And it was all a bit of a nightmare. And she let me in. She goes, we have to close at 1. She said, we just cannot find enough people working. She said, we've had an ad up on Seek for ages, haven't been able to find. So she said, we're still working, but we have to do private appointments at that time or different things so that, but we have to close at 1 because that way if anyone's sick or anything's happening, we've got we're at least still able to open for people. So it's just, it seems to just be everywhere, but it's just what's happening. And if us as in terms of businesses, if we know what's going on in terms of what we need to do in terms of recruitment, then that's it's all we can do. All we can do is just the best that we can. Do you know what I mean?
There's going to be a shifting of skill sets of those employees, right? And what I would be doing if I'm a business right now, what I'm doing is to get off Seek and start identifying those really good employees and start reaching out, having your coffees with them, starting to get to know them, really appreciate them for what they are. At some point, as this goes down the hill, at some point, somebody's going to have to take it upon themselves to retrain the workforce. If I'm a small business, that is not going to be fucking me. Now, I'll leave that to the big corporate players to go retrain the workforce. In the meantime, I'm going to go apple picking, superstar picking. And I'm going to find people that are absolute superstars who already know how to reinvent themselves. And I'm going to offer them work.
Very cool. I like that.
Love it.
Thank you. That was good. Okay. If you're looking to bulletproof your business, here at MJB Seminars, we have the tools and strategies to supercharge your profits and stop you from becoming one of the 97% of organisations that fail within their first 10 years.
So you can learn more about this truly unique system by liking and following us at MJB Seminars over on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe to Dorothy and the Dealer podcast so you never miss a business episode again.
Registrations for our business course are by application, and you can express your interest by emailing evolve, EVOLVE, at mjbseminars.com.au.